Hey guys, my name is Sarah Cooley with NOLA Lending. I'm a local lender here in Louisiana. I have Allyson with us with Rising Point Solutions. We are actually doing a video series on mortgages and credit and how they relate and frequently asked questions that we hear. So Allyson is going to start off by talking about things on being a first-time home buyer, because the first step to qualifying for a mortgage is obviously the credit, which I feel like kind of prevents people from getting started in the first place. So I wanted to bring her on so she can talk about that, because she's the expert, and kind of see what she has to say on preparing yourself as a first-time home buyer before you even apply for a mortgage. So Allyson.
Okay, so obviously, like what you were just saying, you have to know what shape your credit's in before you actually go apply for something so you don't get denied. The first step is obviously just know what's on your credit. So a lot of people I talk to have no idea what's on their credit report. They haven't looked at it in years. They haven't needed it, so they haven't looked at it. There's a couple different places that you can go that doesn't hurt your credit to pull it. My favorite one, if I know that I'm going to make a purchase, I want to know like a score that's really similar to like what you would pull, Sarah, is MyFICO. It's MyFICO.com. I like that one because it's been my experience. It's really, really close to what a lender pulls. Not 100%,
Yes,
so it's just within like, sometimes even like 2 to 5 points. So the first step is just know exactly what we're dealing with, what shape your credit's in. And you can also catch some stuff sometimes it's not even yours. Like mistakes happen all the time on credit and people don't catch it until they go apply for something. So the first step before you apply for anything is see what kind of shape your credit's in. And then obviously address your credit if there's anything that needs it to get the scores up.
Okay. Yeah, I do notice that MyFICO is the most accurate that I've seen so far too. So that's the same website that I would send people to. So is there anything else as a first-time homebuyer that you would kind of work on other than seeing what's on the credit? Like, let's say someone pulls it and there's just a lot going on. Like, what would you tell them the next step would be?
So say you are at a 600, and to get a loan, we typically need about a 620 to 640 to even, start applying. Is that the score, right, that we typically need?
Yeah, it goes down to a 600, but obviously, the higher, the better. So
yeah, that's actually a conversation I have with most of my clients when they're starting out is you don't want to just barely qualify. Like this is one of the biggest purchases of your life. And like, the terms of this loan are sometimes like 30 years and you're stuck with that interest rate. So you don't want to just barely get your scores qualified because you're going to just barely get that you're not going to get a very good interest rate at all. And you're going to be stuck with it. So first step is, check yourself where your score's at. If your score needs improving, the first thing I always look at when I'm looking at a new credit report is balance to limit ratios on credit cards. So there's different percentages on your credit card, like usage, that can either hurt or help you. So my first, when I'm looking at a credit report is, and a credit card account is, what's the limit? If the limit's at like 400 and we know that the balance is almost maxed out, maybe it's like 350. The first goal for any client that I always give them is get under 50% of what that limit is in that balance. So if your limit is 400, you want to get the balance to at least, under 200. If you're over 50% in your balance to limit ratio, you're hurting your credit score. It's costing you points each month. If you're under, then we're building. So that's always like my first thought is, okay, well, do we have any balances that we can play with to try to get the scores up?
Yeah,
so
that's good.
That's good.
That's good advice. And I also feel like another thing that people see are, obviously the debt to income ratio, which we'll talk about in another video, but that plays a huge role in just kind of getting those things, down so that you can apply for more home. And I think a lot of people don't realize that your credit is so important because it does affect your interest rate. It's not only the minimum, obviously you need a minimum credit score to apply, but you can drastically get a better credit score drastically get a better interest rate if your credit score is higher. So, that is so important because like you said, you are locked in for, quite a while. So it just benefits you.
I use the example to clients a lot of times is like, if you have someone that, and credit's not just this mortgage or a car or whatever, it's everything. Credit's king. Like even if you have all the money in the world, sometimes you're going to need to use your credit. And if your credit's not in good shape, and you can't do anything with it. And so the way that I was trying to explain to clients is the interest rate side of it is, if you have two people that are going and purchasing a car for like $35,000, and the person A has a 680 or 700 credit score, and they're going to get a lot lower of an interest rate on that same amount of car. And then you have someone over here that has a 580 credit score, and then they are going to get a lot higher of an interest rate. So both cars are worth $30,000 or whatever, $35,000. But this client with the higher interest rate is paying way more in the lifetime of that loan. So it's just not, it's not worth living that way. You know, it's everything. Yeah. Everything relies on credit. So, yeah. So
I guess to just wrap up the credit part of first time home buying. So first, obviously run your credit. My FICO would be the place to go. See where your scores are at, see what's on there. If you do happen to see something on there that isn't yours, what would you tell them to do?
I mean, we do free consultations all day long. So absolutely get with a credit professional, someone that knows the laws and knows the rules and knows how to help you. Because one thing I will tell you is a lot of times I get clients that they just need some advice. They don't even need a full blown, credit repair program. Sometimes it's just like, hey, you know what? I think if you call this collection company and dealt with it this way and then paid this balance down, you could be fine. I do that a lot of times with lenders, is they'll send me clients that are close but not quite there, and I usually can kind of eyeball it and get them there. So definitely know what's on your credit, review it, tweak the stuff that you can handle, that you can manage, like balances. Obviously balances and debt are things that we can't do for you, but a client can do on their end to boost their credit score. And then get in touch with a professional like me so I can help.
Gotcha. So. Well, that sounds good. And then also on the mortgage side, just to kind of touch on that, if you are a first-time home buyer, obviously, if you need Allyson, we'll have her information on the video. And then to start the mortgage side of it, basically what you do is you put in an application. I will send you a list of documents that I will need. It's basic things like W-2s, tax returns. Depending on the loan type that you go with, there may be some additional documents. But the biggest thing with being a first-time home buyer is just knowing where you stand. So if you are not sure, what you can get qualified for, I always recommend people apply a few months before they're seriously interested in looking or purchasing. That way, if there's anything that comes up, whether it's credit or your debt to income, or maybe even a collection or any of the numerous things that can come up, we have plenty of time to get that resolved. That way, when you do start the process, it's going to be very easy and there's not going to be a lot of bumps in the road. So that would be my advice if you're a first-time home buyer and you just aren't sure where to start. We'll have everything linked, and I'll even put the website on the caption. So if you want to check it out, and if you have any questions, let us know.